You didn't just betray me, Jihad. You declared war on my trust. And I never lose twice.
My wife refused to be intimate with me, so I decided to teach her a lesson by inviting her best friend over. What happened next was unbelievable. Yeah, I know how that sounds. If you just read that as a YouTube title, you'd probably think I'm the villain. Maybe I am. But if you're going to judge me, at least hear how I got there. My name is Ethan. I'm 35, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had a normal marriage. Not perfect, not movie-level romantic, but solid. My wife, Lena, was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone else feel like extras in her scene. Long blonde hair, lips always glossed, phone always in her hand. People used words like confident and independent. I used to call it fire. Now, I know it was just arrogance wrapped in good lighting. Her best friend is Jenna. Dark hair, big laugh, the kind of person who actually listens when you talk. I never thought of her as anything but Lena's wild friend, until the night everything snapped. It started with headache nights. You know the ones. You reach out in bed. She rolls away. Not tonight, Ethan.
I'm exhausted.
At first I believed her. Work, stress, whatever. But tonight turned into this week. And then this month. Anytime I tried to be close, she'd stiffen like I was some stranger who just sat too close on the bus. One night I finally said it. Lena, we haven't been close in weeks. What's going on? She didn't even look up from her phone. I'm not your toy, Ethan. Go watch a game or something. The way she said it, like my needs were a joke, hit me harder than any slap. I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling like some pathetic roommate who didn't get the memo that the lease ended. That was the night lesson formed in my head. It wasn't about revenge at first. It was about proving something, even if only to myself. Proving that I wasn't invisible, that I wasn't the problem, that I was still a man, not just Lena's quiet background character. And that's where Jenna came in. It was a Saturday afternoon when I texted her. Hey, can you stop by tonight? Need to talk. It's about Lena. The dots appeared almost immediately. Jenna, is she okay? You're scaring me. Just please come. Around 8. She agreed. Of course she did. Jenna has this rescue people reflex. This is probably why Lena kept her around. Someone who would always drop everything for her drama. At 7:30 p.m., Lena was standing in front of the mirror in our bedroom, putting on lipstick like she was getting paid for every layer. You're going out? I asked from the doorway. She didn't bother meeting my eyes. Girls' night. We already talked about this. No, we hadn't. She'd announced it while scrolling TikTok, and I'd apparently nodded at the wrong time. With who? I asked, even though I already knew. She rolled her eyes so hard I swear they almost left orbit. With Jenna and the girls, obviously. Why are you acting weird? Weird, right? Because wanting to know where your wife is going on a Saturday night apparently qualifies as weird in Lena's world. Jenna's coming here, I said slowly. She said. Lena cut me off with a sharp laugh. She'll meet us there, Ethan. Don't start being clingy now. It's not a good look on you. Then she grabbed her purse, her heels clicking like a countdown across the hardwood, and left without so much as a goodbye kiss. The front door slammed, and with it, the last bit of patience I'd been nursing. I stood in the silent house, my own words echoing in my head. My wife refused to be intimate with me. Something hollow cracked open in my chest. I felt ridiculous, unwanted, like a guy who'd missed his own life somehow while trying to build it. By 8 o'clock, my decision was cemented. If Lena wanted to treat me like I didn't exist, I was going to show her just how real I could be. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Jenna on the porch, hair pulled into a messy bun. No makeup, worry written all over her face. Ethan, what's going on? Is Lena okay? She asked as she stepped inside, shrugging off her coat. I closed the door behind her and exhaled slowly. This was it, the moment where everything could still go back to normal if I just told the truth. She's distant.
I'm hurting.
I need help. But I was past normal. Lena's fine, I said. She went out. Girls' night, remember? Jenna frowned. She said she was going to meet you here first. She told me you two needed to talk. Of course she did. Lena always kept different versions of the story ready, like outfits. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed 2 glasses, and poured whiskey with hands that shook more than I wanted to admit. Sit, I said. We need to talk. But not the way you think. Jenna followed me to the living room, confusion in every step. She sat at the edge of the couch, fingers twisted together. Ethan, you're scaring me. Did something happen at work? With your dad? With Lena? I cut in. Her name tasted bitter. The room went quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear the fridge hum and your own pulse pounding in your ears. Jenna leaned forward. What did she do this time? The way she said this time made me freeze. What do you mean, this time? I asked. Jenna's eyes widened like she realized she'd stepped on a landmine. Nothing. I just meant, you know how she is. Dramatic. Moody. She vents to me. I thought maybe she said something she shouldn't have. The anger that had been slowly simmering in me turned into a boil. I'm going to ask you something, I said, voice low. And I want the truth, Jenna. No sugarcoating, no protecting her. I've had enough of that. She swallowed hard. Okay. Is there someone else? The words hung in the air like smoke. Jenna's gaze darted away, to the window, to the floor, anywhere but my face. Her silence was louder than any answer. Something inside me broke cleanly, like glass under a hammer. For a second, the room blurred. I knew it, I whispered. I knew I wasn't crazy. Ethan, listen, Jenna started, her voice soft. It's not what you. Don't, I snapped. You're about to use that line Lena loves so much. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I took a breath, forcing myself to steady. Here's the thing, Jenna, I said. My wife refused to be close to me for months. She treats me like an inconvenience in my own house, then walks around like a queen. Tonight she lied to both of us. To you, to me, and I'm done playing the idiot. Jenna looked at me, really looked, and something changed in her expression. The pity faded. What came instead was anger, raw, sharp, but not aimed at me. She told me you were distant, Jenna said quietly, that you didn't touch her anymore, that you only cared about work. She made it sound like she was the victim. I laughed, a dark, humorless sound. Of course she did. Lena doesn't do wrong. She just rewrites the script. Jenna shook her head slowly. Ethan, there's more you need to know. My heart slammed against my ribs. Then tell me, I said. Tonight. All of it. No more protecting her. No more pretty lies. I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment the lesson I'd planned spiraled into something completely different. Something that would rip apart every illusion I had left about my marriage, my wife, and even myself. Jenna sat there twisting her fingers, like she was trying to wring the truth out of her own hands before it slipped out of her mouth. There's more you need to know, she'd said. My chest felt tight. Then say it, Jenna. I'm done living in the dark. She let out a long breath. Okay, but once I tell you, you can't unhear it. That's kind of the point, I answered. She stared at the whiskey in her glass instead of at me. About 3 months ago, Lena started canceling our girls' nights. At first she said she was tired. Then she said you were being controlling. Then, Jenna hesitated. Then she stopped explaining at all. She'd just text, plan changed, and vanish. Vanished where? I asked. Jenna finally met my eyes. With Ryan. The name hit me like a punch even though I had no idea who Ryan was. Who the hell is Ryan? I asked, my voice thinner than I wanted. Her client, Jenna said, using air quotes. The guy from the gym. The one with the stupid sports car she always puts on her Instagram stories when she says she's networking. I saw it then, like a film reel snapping into focus. The blurry steering wheel, the neon dashboard lights, her smug little smile. I'd liked those stories. Commented with fire emojis like some idiot supportive husband. So she told you about him? I asked. Jenna shook her head quickly. Not exactly. She slipped. One night she got drunk and called me from a hotel lobby. Said you were too boring to understand her needs and that Ryan made her feel alive. Jenna's jaw clenched. She hung up before I could talk sense into her. The room tilted. Hotel? I repeated numbly. So while I was at home thinking we were just going through a dry spell, she was out. I stopped myself, the word I didn't want to use burning on my tongue. Sharing a bed with some guy who revs his engine for attention. Jenna flinched like I'd slapped her, even though the anger wasn't for her. I was going to tell you, she said. I almost drove over here that night, but every time I tried, Lena would show up the next day crying about how no one gets her and how you'd leave her if you knew the real her. She made me promise not to ruin her life. I laughed. Bitter. Funny. Apparently, I was the ruin she was trying to escape from. I got up and paced the room, each step heavier than the last. My mind sprinted through the last few months, plugging this new information into every strange moment. Her new lingerie that never appeared in our bedroom. The sudden obsession with late cardio sessions. The way she guarded her phone like it held nuclear codes. I remembered one night in particular. I'd walked into the kitchen at midnight and found her leaning against the counter. Phone pressed to her ear, voice soft and low. She jumped when she saw me, hit the end call button so fast she nearly dropped the phone. Who was that? I'd asked. She'd laughed too loudly. Relax, Ethan, it's just Jenna. We're talking about vacation plans. Lies, wrapped in laughs. Dressed up like harmless clutter. Back in the living room, Jenna watched me with a kind of cautious pity. Ethan, I didn't tell you because I thought she'd snap out of it. She said it was just fun. That she'd get it out of her system and come back to reality. Fun, I repeated. My hands were shaking again. So I'm reality, and he's the amusement park. Jenna set her glass down. Look, I'm not defending her. She's been cruel. She talks about you like you're some annoying subscription she forgot how to cancel. And the way she brags about Ryan. Brags. I interrupted. She brags. Jenna nodded slowly. To her coworkers. To our friends. She calls him her upgrade. Something inside me snapped so cleanly it felt almost calm. Upgrade, I said, tasting the word like poison. Good. Great. Then she can enjoy her upgrade. What are you going to do? Jenna asked carefully. And there it was, the crossroads. One path. Call Lena. Scream into the phone. Demand the truth she'd never willingly give. The other path. Keep quiet. Gather everything. Strike once and never look back. But there was a third path forming in the back of my mind. Darker and colder. My wife refused to be intimate with me. So I decided to teach her a lesson by inviting her best friend over. The thought rose again, but now it twisted into something different. Not just a wounded man reaching for validation, but a man who suddenly realized he'd been played for a fool in his own home. I'm going to make sure, I said slowly. No more guessing. No more maybe I'm paranoid. I want proof. How? Jenna asked. I turned toward the hallway, toward the bedroom that suddenly felt like a stage where I'd been the only one who didn't know the script. First, I said, I'm going to search this house like it belongs to me, because it does. And if Lena turned it into a shrine to her new hero, I'm going to find every piece. Jenna swallowed. And after that, I looked back at her, feeling the anger harden into something colder, sharper. After that, I said, we'll talk about lessons. For both of them. I didn't realize how silent a house could be until I started looking for the truth inside it. Not the truth I suspected, not the truth everyone whispers when the door closes, no. The real one. The kind you can hold in your hand and say, here, this is where everything died. Jenna followed me down the hallway like she wasn't sure if she should stop me or help me. Maybe she didn't know which outcome terrified her more. I pushed open the bedroom door, and suddenly it felt like stepping into a crime scene where I was both the cop and the victim. Everything looked normal at first glance. Lena was meticulous about appearances, but I've learned something crucial. Cheaters clean surfaces, not details. I went straight for her vanity. Drawers slid open with a soft wooden sigh. Lipsticks, mascaras, perfumes, nothing suspicious. And then I saw it. A receipt tucked beneath a packet of makeup sponges. A hotel name. A date from 2 weeks ago. A room number. My fingers tightened around the paper. My pulse pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. Ethan? Jenna's voice was soft, pleading, but she didn't finish the sentence. What could she say? Maybe she stayed there alone? Please, I wasn't born yesterday. I placed the receipt on the vanity, forcing myself to keep breathing. Next, her closet. I opened the doors. The smell of expensive perfume drifted out, sweet, floral, suffocating. I scanned her dresses, purses, shoes. Lena didn't hide things. She showcased them. Everything was display-ready like her ego. But at the bottom, behind a stack of handbags, something glinted.
A gift bag.
Red. Glossy. Too new. I pulled it out and reached inside. A men's bracelet. Leather with a steel clasp. The initials RK. Ryan. Whoever he was, he didn't even have the decency to leave anonymously. Jenna gasped. Oh my God. She told me she bought that for her cousin. Ethan, I didn't know. I laughed. Came out hollow. She's good at giving stories, isn't she? Too good, Jenna whispered. I placed the bracelet beside the hotel receipt like I was building an exhibit for a museum called My Marriage Was a Lie. And then my phone buzzed. A message from Lena. On my way home. Don't wait up. Long night. I stared at the screen. The casual arrogance of it. The entitlement. She didn't even bother putting effort into her lies anymore. She wasn't scared. She didn't think consequences existed. Good. Fear is only meaningful when it arrives late. Ethan, what are you going to do? Jenna asked. Again. Her voice trembled now. I opened her bedside table. Inside, her journal. Lena loved documenting her life. Not feelings, not memories, achievements. Proof she was better than everyone else. I flipped pages until I landed on one line in red ink. Finally felt alive again. Or makes me feel wanted. Not like Ethan who drags his feet through life. I deserve passion, not predictability. Predictability. That was me. Furniture. Wallpaper. Scheduled. The words bled into my vision. My hands shook, not with weakness but clarity. You didn't deserve this, Jenna whispered. Something about her tone made me look at her. Really look. She wasn't just sad. She looked guilty, like she'd been holding in a truth heavier than mine. Jenna, I said slowly, how long have you known? She swallowed hard. Long enough to hope she'd stop. Long enough to realize she wouldn't. And now, Jenna hesitated, and that hesitation said more than any confession could. Now, she said finally, you see her for who she really is. A notification sounded again. Lena sending a picture of herself with friends at a bar. She posed like she was auditioning for a perfume ad. Chin lifted, eyes glossy, hand tossed into her hair. I zoomed in, not on her, but on the reflection in the mirror behind her. A man, muscle shirt, arm around her waist, not even trying to hide it. Ryan, that was it. No more guessing, no more doubt. The universe wasn't subtle, it was slapping me in the face. Jenna covered her mouth. She's not even trying to pretend anymore. She doesn't have to, I said. Not yet. A strange calm settled over me. Not peace, not acceptance. Calculation, purpose. Ethan, Jenna whispered. What are you planning? I looked at her, really looked. She was shaking, but not out of fear of me. Out of fear of what Lena had created. What happens next? I said. Isn't revenge. Jenna blinked. Then what is it? I smiled, and it surprised me how steady it felt. It's education. Her eyes widened. Ethan. She refused to be close to me, I continued. She treated me like dust. She thought I wouldn't fight back. I held up the journal, the bracelet, the receipt. These aren't just mistakes. They're matches. And she's been building a bonfire. Jenna whispered, You're scaring me. Good, I said softly, because I finally stopped scaring myself. I placed the items neatly on the bed, the funeral display of my marriage, and sat down in the chair across from them. Let her come home, I said. and for the first time in months I felt alive. Not because of her, because of the truth, because of what comes next. The house felt like it was holding its breath while I waited for Lena to come home. Not in fear, no, fear had left me hours ago. This was anticipation, precision, the silence before the trigger is pulled. Jenna sat on the far end of the couch, her legs pulled close, like she had somehow wandered into a storm she never intended to witness. Every few seconds, she glanced toward the front door, then at me, as if expecting me to suddenly fall apart. But I wasn't falling. I was finally standing. At 1:27 a.m., headlights washed over the living room curtains. Tires crunched on gravel. The front door clicked twice, the signature sound of Lena's arrival. She entered without looking up from her phone, laughing loudly at something on the screen. The perfume hit first. A thick cocktail of roses and something sweet, like she wanted the air itself to worship her. Then she saw Jenna. Her smile froze. "What are you doing here?" Lena demanded, not even acknowledging me. "You weren't supposed to." She stopped mid-sentence when her eyes finally landed on me. Sitting in the armchair, facing the items arranged on the bed like evidence in a courtroom. The bracelet, the hotel receipt. The journal turned to the page where she wrote about feeling alive. Her face didn't show guilt. No, Lena didn't do guilt. She did annoyance. "What the hell is this?" she hissed. "Your life," I said calmly. "In bullet points." She scoffed, tossing her purse onto the counter like she owned the place. "Wow, you're doing the dramatic husband thing."
Goo.
Is this supposed to intimidate me? It was impressive, really, her ability to treat betrayal like an inconvenience. She crossed her arms, visibly irritated that her lies were being forced to share oxygen with the truth. "Sit down," I said. She raised an eyebrow. "You don't tell me what to do, Ethan." Jenna flinched at her tone, and I noticed something else. Lena wasn't looking at her friend with surprise. She was looking at her like ownership had been violated. Like Jenna being here was more offensive than Lena's own betrayal. That's when it clicked. Lena didn't hate consequences. She hated witnesses. She turned to Jenna. "Did you seriously come here just to feed his insecurities?" "God, Jenna, this is why no one takes you seriously. You soak up everyone's problems like a sponge and act like you're helping." Jenna looked like Lena had slapped her. I leaned forward. "Don't talk to her like that." Lena pivoted toward me, her smile sharp and poisonous. "Oh, now you defend her? Adorable. What next, Ethan? Are you two gonna cry together? Should I get tissues?" "This isn't about Jenna," I said. "It's about you." Lena rolled her eyes so hard they nearly spun out of her skull. "Everything's about me. You're obsessed with making me responsible for your failures. You can't satisfy me emotionally, mentally. Physically," I finished. Silence detonated in the room. Her jaw tightened. She wasn't used to her lines being finished for her. "You refused to be close to me for months," I continued. "Not because of headaches. Not because of stress. Because you were getting your needs met somewhere else." Lena's laugh was sharp, unhinged. "Oh, please, don't make it sound poetic. We drifted. It happens. People get bored." "You didn't drift," I said. "You jumped." Her nostrils flared. "So what if I did? You think you deserved me? You think you were enough? You walk around like some tragic hero, but you're barely even present. Ryan actually sees me." There it was. The name, Ryan, out loud, like she wanted the syllables to slice. Jenna gasped. "I didn't." "I know," I said. "I know about the hotel, the bracelet, the car, the journal." Lena froze. Real fear flickered across her face for the first time. Not guilt, not remorse. Fear of being exposed. Then she straightened her back, calm returning like armor. "You went through my things?" she asked coldly. "That's pathetic, Ethan. You violated my privacy." "Your privacy ended when you invited someone else into our marriage," I replied. She smirked. "Marriage? This wasn't a marriage. This was a waiting room. Ryan is life. You," she pointed at me, "are the chair people sit on until something better arrives." Jenna looked sick. I didn't blink. And what happens? I asked slowly. When the chair finally stands up, Lena laughed again. But this time there was something else under it. Nerves. Stand up and do what? Leave? Please. You don't have the spine. I leaned back. Funny, I said. You're the one who should be worried about walking away. Lena's smile faltered. What's that supposed to mean? It means, I answered, that tonight isn't about tears, or apologies, or begging. I let the silence stretch before delivering it. It's about consequences. For the first time since she walked in, Lena didn't speak. She blinked. And in that blink, I saw it, the moment the predator realized the prey wasn't playing dead. Lena stood in the doorway like someone who just realized the joke wasn't hers to make anymore. For a woman who lived off control, social control, emotional control, narrative control, this moment was poison. She wasn't losing the argument. She was losing the stage. What consequences? She repeated, voice tight like a violin string about to snap. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move. I didn't need theatrics. The truth was its own weapon. Sit, I said again. She hesitated, not because she feared me, but because she feared what she didn't yet understand. Lena always assumed she was the smartest person in every room. Now she was calculating the possibility that she wasn't. She sat. Her body language was ice. Arms folded, chin lifted, gaze fixed on me like I was an inconvenience interrupting her ego maintenance routine. Jenna stayed silent, but I could feel her heartbeat from across the room. She wasn't just witnessing this. She was trapped in it. I took a deep breath. You rewrote our life, I began. You took the foundation we built and called it boring. You compared my loyalty to someone's temporary adrenaline rush. Lena rolled her eyes. Spare me the monologue. Just get to your threat. It's not a threat, I said. It's truth. Something you've forgotten how to recognize. Her jaw tightened. You've lied to me, Lena. But worse than that, you lied to yourself. You built your identity around attention, validation, being wanted. The second you didn't feel adored every second of every day, you went hunting. She smirked. And? Men do that all the time. I just finally stopped pretending. No, I corrected. Men don't do what you did. Cowards do. And you turned cowardice into a lifestyle. Her smirk cracked, just a fracture. But I saw it. You think Ryan loves you? I asked. You think he's your new forever? Lena flipped her hair. I don't need forever. I need excitement. There it was. Not love. Not connection. Addiction. Excitement fades, I said. Reality doesn't. She laughed again, louder, desperate now. Reality? You are reality, Ethan. That's the problem. You're comfortable, predictable, safe. I wanted more. You wanted worship, I corrected. Ryan gave you fireworks. I gave you a home. Guess which one burns out? Lena leaned forward. Are we done? Because I'm leaving. No, I said. You're not. Her eyebrows shot up. Not fear, insult. No one ever told Lena no. She stood. I'm not staying here and listening to your insecurity tantrum. I didn't move. I let my voice do the work. You left something on the bed. She paused, turned, saw the items again. Hotel receipt, bracelet, journal open to her confession. Her expression shifted. Walls went up. She was scanning exit routes, not from the room but from accountability. What do you want from me? She asked, voice flat. Nothing, I said. I wanted honesty months ago. Now I want clarity. Clarity? She scoffed. You think this gives you clarity? Yes, I said. Because now I see you. She blinked. You're not misunderstood, I continued. You're not damaged. You're not trapped. You are selfish. You trade affection like currency. You use desire as leverage. When you're not the center of gravity, you implode. Lena's lips parted, but no words came. That was new. Jenna exhaled shakily. I don't think she'd ever seen Lena speechless either. Then Lena hissed through her teeth. You can't blame me for wanting more than mediocrity. I'm not blaming you for wanting more, I answered. I'm blaming you for destroying what you already had while pretending you were the victim. Her eyes narrowed. You think you're some wise philosopher? You're a nobody who turned into dead air in his own marriage. And yet, I said quietly, you're the one scared right now. Her pupils dilated. There it was. Not fear of me. Fear of losing the last thing she controlled. The narrative. You think people will believe you? She snapped. I can ruin you in 3 sentences. Lena, I said calmly, you already ruined yourself. All I have to do now is stop covering for you. She froze, because she knew. Cheaters don't fear consequences. They fear exposure. She opened her mouth, but her voice cracked. You wouldn't. I don't have to do anything dramatic, I interrupted. Your actions are loud enough. I just stopped muting them. Lena looked at the journal, at the bracelet, at the receipt, each one a truth she couldn't uninvent. For the first time tonight, she looked small. And not because I diminished her, but because her empire finally had mirrors instead of fans. You don't get to do this to me, she whispered. No, I corrected. You did this to you. She stared at me like she was seeing someone she'd never met. Someone who wasn't furniture. Someone who wasn't waiting for permission to exist. Someone who could walk away. Her lips trembled. Not with sadness, but with rage that her ownership was expiring. I stood. Lena, I said, the consequences aren't coming. I leaned in, voice steady, final. They're already here. Her breath caught. And for the first time in our marriage, she had nothing left to say. Lena didn't cry, didn't apologize, didn't crumble. No, that would require guilt, and guilt is something people feel when they believe they've done something wrong. Lena believed she was entitled to everything she touched. Consequences weren't part of her ecosystem. But silence terrified her, and she sat there drowning in it. Finally, she spoke, not with remorse but venom. So what now, Ethan? You want applause because you finally grew a spine? You think this changes anything? Ryan wants me. I don't need you. I didn't react. Her insults were currency she spent when she sensed loss. I'm not here to take you away from Ryan, I said. I'm here to take myself away from you. That rattled her. For a woman used to being chased, abandonment wasn't rejection. It was blasphemy. Oh, please, she scoffed. You won't leave. You can't handle life without me. You don't even know who you are without my attention. There it was, her greatest delusion. She genuinely believed she gave me identity. You're wrong, I said. You never gave me identity. You just filled the silence with noise and called it love. Lena leaned back, mouth twisted into a smirk. You're hilarious, acting like some deep, enlightened man. Newsflash, Ethan, no one cares about your poetic speeches. Men like you get left. Men like Ryan get chosen. That's the difference, I replied. Ryan was chosen out of excitement. I was chosen out of honesty. One lasts, the other burns out. Her eyes flickered for a second, not with doubt but calculation. She wasn't listening to my words. She was searching them for a weakness, a crack, an angle she could punch through. You think I regret anything? She asked. No, I said. You regret nothing that benefits you. She tilted her head. Exactly. That's why I win. I stepped closer, not aggressive, calm. Winning isn't taking everything. Winning is keeping what matters. You lost something tonight, Lena. Not because I took it, but because you threw it away. She smiled, slow, sinister. Please, you were dead air long before Ryan showed up. He woke me up. He woke something, I corrected. Not you. Your ego. The smirk faded. Jenna finally spoke, voice quiet but steady. Lena, you never saw Ethan. You saw what he could do for you. And when that wasn't exciting enough, you replaced him. Lena whipped toward her. Don't you dare lecture me. You're jealous because no man has ever wanted you the way they want me. Jenna's face went pale, but she didn't look away. Lena saw the effect and smirked triumphantly. That was her violence without fists, cruelty without effort. I stepped between them. This isn't about Jenna, I said. It's about accountability. Lena rolled her eyes. God, you too are pathetic. You sit here dissecting my choices like you matter. You don't. Ryan texts me and I feel alive. You talk and I feel trapped. And yet, I replied, here you are. Text him. Call him. Go. No one's stopping you. The room froze. Lena expected to be begged for. Expected the plea. Expected emotional ransom. None came. She waited. We didn't move. It was the first time reality didn't bend to her ego. Her expression cracked, subtle, but unmistakable. What exactly are you planning, Ethan? She asked again, voice smaller now, though wrapped in a thin layer of hostility. I'm planning to stop protecting your reputation, I said. I'm planning to stop being the villain in your stories while you play the misunderstood queen. Her nostrils flared. You wouldn't. You told everyone I was distant, absent, cold. I said. I stayed quiet because I thought you were lost. But you're not lost, Lena. You're addicted to admiration. And when one person stops giving it, you replace them. She stood abruptly. You don't get to define me. No, I said. But your actions already have. She laughed. A desperate sound. You're bluffing. You won't do anything. You never do. Jenna spoke again, voice trembling, but strong. He already did, Lena. He stopped believing you. That hit harder than anything I'd said. Because for someone like Lena, belief wasn't affection, it was control. And she had just lost hers. You're both insane, she snapped. I'm leaving. I don't have to listen to this garbage. I stepped aside, clearing the path. Then go, I said. Walk into your new life. Just don't expect me to be your safety net when Ryan gets bored. She froze, not because of Ryan, but because boredom was her shadow. Ryan wasn't a partner. He was a distraction. And distractions die when no one's watching. Lena turned toward the door, but her steps slowed. Hesitation finally reached her spine. She wasn't ready to leave. She wasn't ready to stay. She wasn't in control. That was the unraveling. Not her tears. Not her confession. Not a fight. Just one brutal truth. For the first time in her life, someone had stopped orbiting her. Lena stood by the door, gripping the handle as if it were the last stable object in a collapsing world. Her confidence, the thing she weaponized like breath, was cracking, and she didn't know how to breathe without it. She didn't leave. She stayed frozen, caught between the version of herself she curated and the version she now had to face. What are you waiting for? I asked. My tone wasn't cold. It wasn't angry. It was worse, indifferent. And Lena recognized that tone. It was the sound of someone who felt nothing for her anymore. People like Lena can fight rage, manipulate guilt, twist love. But indifference, it's a locked door. She turned slowly, eyes locked on mine. Not soft, not pleading, but calculating. You think walking away makes you strong, she said. It makes you stupid. You're throwing away a woman men would kill to have. That's the problem, I replied. All you care about is being wanted. You don't know how to want back. Lena flinched like I'd struck her. She had heard insults her whole life. Envy, jealousy, petty hatred. But the one thing she could never accept was the possibility of vacancy inside her. She needed validation like oxygen. You're dramatic, she muttered, but the edge in her voice had dulled. I didn't do anything different from other people. Relationships get boring. No, I said. You didn't get bored. You got unchallenged. I walked toward her, slow, deliberate. She didn't step back, but she straightened, trying to resurrect the armor of ego. When we first met, I began. You were lightning. You chased goals, laughed loudly, lived boldly. You were brilliant because you created your own life. But somewhere along the way, admiration became your only metric of value. You didn't live for joy anymore. You lived for applause. She swallowed, jaw clenching harder. You don't know me, she said. I knew who you were, I corrected. I don't know who you became. Silence. Tension gathered in the air like static. Jenna, who had remained painfully quiet, finally spoke. Lena, you weren't happy. But instead of fixing something or ending something, you destroyed it from both ends. Lena snapped toward her. Don't act like you understand me. You've always wanted my life. Jenna's eyes filled, not with tears, but clarity. No, she said slowly. I wanted your courage. I never wanted your emptiness. Lena recoiled as if the word itself were acid. Emptiness. The one truth she couldn't decorate. She turned her eyes back to me. So that's it? You're just done. No, I said. Done would mean this was sudden. This was a marathon you ran alone. You left me long before Ryan entered the picture. You just needed someone to justify it. The phrase hung in the air like smoke. Lena blinked rapidly, processing the fact that her story, her narrative, had been decoded. What are you going to do? She finally whispered. Not sarcastic, not commanding, curious, worried. That's when I realized Lena wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of losing the version of herself reflected in me. You're expecting a revenge plot, I said. A scene, screaming, plates shattering, tears, maybe begging. Lena stayed silent. That would mean you still matter enough to provoke chaos, I continued. But you don't. I won't destroy you, Lena. I'm just removing myself from the role you assigned me. Her breath hitched. You're leaving? She asked, voice thin. Yes, I said, but not silently. I held up my phone. The evidence, photos, receipts, screenshots of her journal, messages, timestamps. Everything lined up like dominoes. You built this image of me as the problem, I said. The cold husband, the uninspired man, the failure. I don't care what you think of me, but I won't let you export that lie anymore. Lena inhaled sharply. You wouldn't dare. Lena, I said gently, you dare everything. I learned from the best. Her mask shattered, just for a heartbeat. Fear, not of discovery. Fear of irrelevance. You can have Ryan, I said, but you don't get the narrative. Not anymore. Jenna watched her with something close to pity. And Lena, queen of composure, goddess of self-worship, finally broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a whisper that wasn't meant to escape her lips. I didn't think you'd leave. I nodded. That's why I am. Her tears didn't come, not yet. Tears require self-awareness. But her voice shook. You'll regret this. No, I said, stepping back. I already regretted staying. And right then, something shifted. Not in her. In me. The man she dismissed, ignored, belittled, he was gone. What stood in his place was someone she couldn't manipulate anymore. The house didn't shake. No thunder cracked. No dramatic music played. Yet something irreversible shifted the moment those words left my mouth. I already regretted staying. Lena blinked like her brain couldn't compute a version of reality where she wasn't the gravitational center. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. She finally understood something she never believed could happen. I was no longer hers to dismiss. I walked past her, not in anger but clarity. She wasn't a goddess I had toppled. She was a mirror I'd finally stepped away from. And without me standing there, she could see only herself, and she didn't like the view. Ethan, wait, she said finally, voice trembling. It wasn't a request. It was instinct. Predators panic when prey stops running. I turned. Lena's expression wasn't remorse. It was panic disguised as indignation. You're really ending this over a few mistakes? A mistake is something you apologize for, I said. This was a lifestyle. She scoffed, reaching for her old confidence like a weapon she couldn't aim anymore. Ryan treats me like a queen. He gives me what you couldn't. That's fine, I replied. Then be his queen. But I won't be your throne. Her eyes widened, not because she understood the metaphor, but because she realized she'd lost the script. Lena wasn't afraid of being alone. She was afraid of being ordinary. And losing me didn't make her lonely, it made her irrelevant. Ethan, Jenna said softly behind me. You don't owe her any more explanations. Lena spun toward her. Stay out of this. You think he wants you? He's using you to feel better. There it was, the last shard of her pride. I didn't look at Jenna, didn't move toward her, didn't feed Lena's fantasy of rivalry. I wasn't triangulating her emotions anymore. I was stepping out of her labyrinth. This isn't about Jenna, I said. It never was. This is about you and the destruction you call empowerment. Lena's chest rose sharply. I did what I needed to do to feel alive. No, I said. You did what you needed to do to avoid feeling empty. Silence hit her harder than shouting. Lena wasn't built to receive truth. She was built to outrun it. And tonight, the truth wasn't chasing her. It was standing still. I grabbed my keys from the counter. The metal clinked, the sound of departure, the sound of someone choosing himself. You can't leave, Lena whispered. You left months ago, I answered. I'm just catching up. I can change, she said suddenly, sharp, urgent. The kind of words people say not because they intend to change, but because they fear losing the audience that believe they might. No, I said gently. You can adapt. You can perform. But you don't change. You reinvent. It stunned her that I finally understood her better than she understood herself. Jenna stood now, silent but present. She didn't speak for me or against Lena. She just stood as witness to the collapse of something that was already ash long before tonight. Lena's voice cracked. You're making a mistake. I walked to the door. No, I said, hand on the handle. I'm ending one. I pulled it open but paused. Not for her. For myself. Because endings deserve acknowledgement. I turned back one final time. You'll tell everyone I abandoned you, I said. That I was cold. That I gave up. That's fine. Let them believe your version. But one day, they'll see the pattern. Her face twisted, not in remorse, but rage. Patterns reveal predators. And when Ryan gets bored, I added, you'll look for another audience. Another man to carry your reflection. Another life to drain. Lena's chin trembled. Her voice was a whisper layered with denial and fear. You think you know me? I do, I said. That's why I'm leaving. Then I stepped outside. Cold air greeted me. Not harsh, not empty, just real. Behind me, I heard the muffled sound of something breaking. Maybe glass, maybe pride, but I didn't turn around. Nothing she could shatter equaled what she'd already destroyed. Jenna followed me to the porch. Are you okay? She asked. I didn't answer for a moment. I took a breath. I'm not okay, I said. I'm free. Her eyes softened, not pity, recognition. Freedom isn't relief. It's space. Space hurts before it heals. Where will you go? She asked. Anywhere, I said. Somewhere I don't have to audition for affection. Then Jenna did something Lena never once did. She nodded without making it about herself. I walked down the steps, keys in my hand, the night wide open in front of me. For the first time in years, I wasn't living inside someone else's script. Behind me, a life was ending. Ahead of me, a life was beginning. Not perfect, not complete, but mine. And that was enough.